So as you can see, I am actually on 2 mats, and it's a slightly different perspective, filming perspective, because I'm going to spend most of my time on my back. You only need 1 mat. I have 2 laid crosswise over one another because it'll be easier for you to follow the first half frontally and the second half laterally. So I will change my orientation, but you please stay on your mat as you are. Yeah. So what we're working with is this kind of midsection from the belly button onwards, upwards, I should say, kind of around the sternum. And essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to free up our diaphragm, the psoas, and all of the muscles, all of the fascia that they're connected with, so that we create more freedom, more mobility, and more ease in that part of the body. I have plenty of practices for that area already. Today's practice is more when you're feeling really overwhelmed, if you're feeling really low on energy, or for those days where you are really in need of something that's quite comforting, quite soothing, quite simple, and where you kind of go into your own little bubble. Yeah. So let's come onto the back. Let your feet slide a little further away from your bum than you would do for the preparation of a bridge. The further away your feet are from your bum, while still giving you stability, the more you might be able to relax into the front of your knees, the front of your thighs, and the front of your hips. Your arms are open to the sides. Maybe it's roughly at armpit height. Maybe it's a little more shoulder height. What's important is that you pick a position, a height on the sides that allows you to really relax the bones and the muscles of your arms. And you might hear a little pitter-patter of feet or a few sounds behind. That would be the little girl who's living with us at the moment. Your legs are going to stay stable, and what we're going to move are basically the arms one at a time in different angles in different directions. And the legs keep the lower body stable, barely moving. So let's start with the left arm, and you're going to take a breath and stretch that left arm as if you were just waking up, stretching it to about 1:30 o'clock. Imagine you are the hands of a big clock. And then slowly let that elbow slide back down to where it began, the hand. You're just going to do that a few times. Inhale, find that stretch, that diagonal stretch. The head might or might not move. Feel where that stretch is happening. It could also happen between the fingers, all the way to the tips of the fingers. If you stretch more or less, you might feel it at different depth of your shoulder joint, your chest. Let's do one more like that. We're going to add one more movement to it. So stretch in that diagonal. And then bend the left elbow so that your left hand is slowly starting to lift. It hovers above your chest. And then let it slide across the right side of your chest towards your right hand. The legs stay stable. And then slowly let the left hand slide back across the arm, the chest, until you feel your elbow, and then your hand landing back on the left side of your body. Now let's repeat that a few times. That morning stretch, that diagonal through the left arm. And on the exhale, the elbow bends so the hand floats above the chest, across the chest, across the right arm. The legs stay pretty stable. And then that left hand slides back all the way until the elbow. And the left hand find back to the left of your body. One more time. Inhaling, find that diagonal stretch. Exhale, start bending the elbow, hovering the hand above the chest and sliding it across as far towards the right hand as you can. And then rest on your back. Once your hand is back on the ground to your side. Now simply noticing maybe there is more ease, more space for your breath on that left side now. More space between your ear and your shoulder on the left side. So let's do the same thing on the right side, excuse me. Take a breath like you're just waking up, stretching that right arm and the diagonal to about 11, 10:30. And then lazily let the elbow, the hand slide back down to where they started. It's your own rhythm. You're going to do it 2 or 3 more times, depending on how slowly you're doing this. You're allowed to enjoy a stretch all the way to the tips of the fingers, between the fingers. You're allowed to make the stretch deeper or more shallow. Depends on what is currently really enjoyable. And so next time, when we're stretching the arm, we're going to add the other movement, that slow bending of the elbow, folding, floating of the right hand across the chest, sliding down the left side of the chest, all the way to the left hand. Legs stay stable. The right hand slides back across the arm, the chest. Elbow comes to your right. Right hand comes to your right. And just a few times like that. That diagonal stretch. And then the slow folding and sliding of the right arm across to the left hand. And you will feel it in different parts of your chest. That diagonal stretch will be felt differently. And then that folding and sliding across. Where do you feel it? Do you want to deepen it or soften it? One more time. Spontaneously, your body might yawn spontaneously. Once your arms are by your sides, just take a moment. You're simply resting, enjoying the effects of what you've just done, of how you've just moved, the way it releases and opens up, brings ease. Okay, so we stay with the legs as they were. We're just going to interlace the hands behind the top of the neck and the back of the head at the bottom. And the head's going to stay really heavy the whole time through. It's just the arms that are going to do the lifting, essentially. So exhale, let the elbows lift, and then let the elbows move closer to your thighs. Head is resting in them. And then slowly roll back down, vertebrae by vertebrae. Spread your shoulder blades, your elbows wide. Inhale. And then again, exhale. Elbows meet above your forehead. They move closer to the knees. You lift as many vertebrae, curling as you'd like. And then as you start to inhale, you slowly come back down, vertebrae by vertebrae. Spread the elbows. A few times like that. It's your own rhythm. And it's your own body. So the movement can stay really small. Can become a bigger curl that moves further down the spine. It's up to you. And we can keep things super simple. So if you're just enjoying the curl of the upper body, stick with that. Or next time you're curling the elbows towards the thighs, you can pull the knees a little closer to the elbows. And then as you start to inhale, the feet come back to the ground and you roll back down, vertebrae by vertebrae, spread shoulder blades, spread elbows. And then start this cycle again. Exhale, the elbows meet above the forehead, you curl the upper body. Maybe the legs move a little closer to the elbows. And as you inhale, the feet land back on the ground if they were up. And you roll back down vertebrae by vertebrae, spreading shoulder blades and elbows. Yeah, a few times in your own pace. Either just the upper half of the body or the upper and lower half curling. Next time you're back on the mat with your feet, with your shoulder blades. Release the arms. Make sure you're comfortable in your shoulders. So place your arms where you can find comfort in your shoulders. And we're going to do a last movement, pressing into the feet. Let that very bottom of your spine, that's between your sit bones almost, lift up towards your knees. A little bit of a lot. It will take a few vertebrae up with it. And then you're going to slowly roll back down. One vertebrae at a time. Yeah, once that tailbone is as close as possible to the mat, push its tip towards the ground, towards the heels, until you feel like the middle of your spine is arching up a little bit. And then when the exhale begins, gently push the middle of your spine back onto the ground. Let the tailbone, that space between your sit bones, start to lift towards the knees and take a few vertebrae up with it. And then as you exhale, you slowly come back down, vertebrae by vertebrae. So you can feel the space between them. Once the back of your pelvis and that tailbone are back onto the mat, push the tailbone closer to the ground, closer to the heels, middle of the spine arches up a bit. And then exhale, press the middle of your spine back onto the mat. Tailbone starts to lift up, takes a few vertebrae up with it. And then slowly come back down, vertebrae by vertebrae. One last time, pushing that tailbone closer to the ground, the heels, slight arching of the middle spine upwards. And then relax. Let yourself enjoy the after effects. You might want to stretch your legs out now. And just allow yourself to feel the difference it makes in terms of how loose, spacious, open, easeful you feel in that middle of your body, between the belly button and the breastbone, the shoulder blades. Now we did this for a fairly short amount of time. You could do this whole sequence longer, or you could do any single part of it for longer if you feel like on that day at that moment is particularly helpful for you to do that for a longer period. Take good care of yourselves.